I was told at a young age communication is key. In any situation, be it parent and child, friendship or partnership, be it business or even love and marriage. Communication is the key foundation of humanity and the key importance to understanding. Verbal communication and even visual communication is easier than written communication. And the problem is that we do not communicate properly for people to understand. There's a lot of gray area with the communication with people. A lot of the gray area comes from either the lack of wanting to understand or the inability to have empathy to understand. And what I mean by the inability is because you know something, but you don't know it too well enough. But if you can control the conversation, nobody can ever question you. And I think that that's where we run into a lot of problems. I think the biggest issue, and this is my own personal opinion, with a few things. I think that the issue between men and women come from miscommunication, not understanding each other, not clear communication of what each other need or want. There's a lot of guesswork and a lot of I don't understand, or the you're not understanding me, because either one person is not fully listening, one person is not fully communicating properly, or both parties are mutually not interested because they're distracted with devices. We have never had a distraction like this before. Your cell phone, always in your pocket, always on you, always in your face, you looking at it. It is a buffer that cuts you out of communication. You have a device that can be that filter, your liaison, if you will. The conversation's too difficult. I don't have to verbally say it. You don't have to see my visual communication by the distress in my face. I can type it to you. And that leads to the unhinged part of miscommunication. The what if and the wonder. That gets difficult. And a lot of the miscommunication now is that we're used to talking in that manner. And when we talk to human beings, we talk to them in that same manner. Cold and not really sure what you're talking about. Part of you are saying like, well, maybe they're saying this, maybe they're saying that. It's all left to interpretation instead of direct understanding. When it comes to people being able to work together or anything like that, the communication always gets murky. And that comes with a lot of things. There's how some people say dog whistling in communication. There's undertone in communication. There's all these extra things that make communication hard. My question is, why all the gymnastics? It should be something easy to do, something that shouldn't be stressful, should be seamless. But for some reason, it seems to just continuously become harder. We see it in the spaces of politics. We see it in the spaces of people talking about religion. We see it in the spaces of people just talking about simple things as my sex or what I choose to do, this, that, and the other. But I think at this point in time, right now, I think that communication is very important. I think that being able to be direct and tell people what you are feeling and what you know is important, yet have tact. And tact is basically knowing when to talk properly and when to talk in a non-proper way. If you want to use lowbrow ways of talking, like using verbal slurs and things like that, you're base-minded and don't have much intelligence. So communication may not be a thing for you. You may not be able to do that, and that's okay. Not saying that that's a terrible thing. It is a bad thing, but it's unfortunate that that's the only way that you can communicate. I think that being able to communicate goes something like this. I say something to you, I reach a point of pause, you ascertain what I said, you rebuttal back, meaning speak back to me. I ascertain what you said. We go back and forth. And the main objective here, depending on if you're having a conversation with the adversary or someone that you're just having a discussion with, is to find a mid-ground in the discussion where both of you can say, I understand your point, or maybe I don't understand your point, but at least we had an opportunity to talk and I had the chance to speak to someone, instead of having to be loud and overtalk other people and try to force your opinion because you don't want to seem like you're dumb. That's insecurity and fear, which leads to pride, and that pride of I can't be embarrassed makes you act out. And then your IQ, as everybody likes to talk about, lessens when you go to derogatory remarks and getting angry and louder. Over talking somebody by getting louder because they're making a point that you may or may not be able to understand or even handle is a sign of immaturity and ignorance. Just because you get louder doesn't make you get smarter. And that's a sign of not knowing how to communicate properly. Now, there are ways of going about that. You can say, excuse me, I was in the middle of talking, and be polite about it. If you have to get loud, then that's because there are only two ways to be able to communicate. And I say this a lot in my personal life to other people, and I will share this as well. I used to say there was two ways. And I still believe it's two ways. And the second way is broken into two parts. Still the same, it's like a quarter. Same coin, different sides. You have verbal communication, like what we're doing right now. I'm talking, you're listening. You might type in the chat or leave a comment. And that's communication. That is normal verbal back-to-back communication. You also have people that are non-commutable, and I'm not talking about I can't talk or I'm not verbal, non-verbal. No, I'm talking about people who were raised, taught, trained from a child to adulthood, to the moment you're having a conversation with someone and they don't understand what's going on, they get loud, they start getting louder, they start yelling, they start doing all of that. And this isn't because of passionate. It's just something saying, for example, like, you're supposed to take a left turn. No, I'm supposed to take a right turn. Well, they start doing that kind of stuff. Those people, especially if you can't get a word in edgewise, were taught with violence. And unfortunately, those people who are taught with violence, the only way that they can respond is by violence. Let me explain. They're yelling, The only thing that they can do, which yelling is more or less like a verbal violent action of aggression, the only way that they can find out if something's going on is either you have to yell at them equally or louder, or what they're used to is someone physically grabbing them. They're a child that grew up by being slapped, spanked, physically instructed to understanding, to listening. What happens as you get older, these people turn into individuals that you have to become physical with. You have to show some form of brute understanding, and that makes conversation difficult. A lot of times they get the upper hand, especially in public settings, because if you have to apply what would make them understand quicker, well, in society that's considered to be an assault. They kind of got you in a catch-22. The immediate response of them being jolted into a situation of, oh my God, that would put them back into that small child that was fractured. The child that was trained by, Mom's coming in the room, she's going to spank me, or Dad's going to grab me and get the belt. I got snatched because I said something. I got popped in the mouth. This is, some people might say, oh, that's abuse. Excessive use of that can train a child to respond in that way. And yes, it can be looked at that as that. But once a person reaches adulthood, and that is how they were taught, that is the reason why communication becomes almost impossible. And to be able to get them to understand will put you in a perplexing situation. It's always a learned behavior, and there's a way to be able to learn how to use it properly. Next time you find yourself in a situation where you're having a hard time talking with someone, try this. Just stop. Don't say a word, and just let them run. Because here's the thing, when you give a person who is going to bogart a conversation or take over, and they want to just run, let them run out of air. Because what happens to them usually is if they run out of air and they have nothing else to talk about, and you keep the focus on them, they'll get bored and they'll give out. But you don't have to play that game all the time. It's just something to try. Consider it an experiment.